The immigration is becoming strict and tighter in every first world country. Every passing year, it is becoming more difficult than the previous year. The competition has become more fierce, right? And of course, with social media, and if we talk particularly about India, which has the highest number of population under the age of 25 years. So the people who are under the students or the youth who is under the age of 25, they're always aspirational. The government strictly said enough is enough. They are not going to extend the work permits. That's how many individuals' work permits are expiring this year. The estimate is more than 150,000. Every country is fighting with immigration. America stopped their immigration pathways, like the easier immigration pathways long back. Now it's not easier to get PR. People have to wait more than 10 years. The country has created so many entry barriers for individuals to work in their field. No country is perfect. So this is also going on evolution. Coming to Canada via express entry is next to impossible for somebody who is outside Canada, because the scores have always been more than 500 points. We have to understand and agree upon, or I would say we have to convince that there is no easy pathway for PR. Even if somebody is working in the in-demand occupation in India also, they can also get a revive. Anybody who can order a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons, they can get CLB 5. So if they had kept the language requirement as CLB 7, CLB 8, CLB 9, then still I would say it could have made some sense. They just want to create a sense of fear amongst everyone. They are just trying to control everyone. It's beyond comprehension why they're taking this step. Right. But again, nobody can question them.
Today we have Rattandeep Singh with us. Rattandeep is a licensed immigration consultant and a principal consultant at Visa Insights Immigration Services based in Canada. He specializes in wide range of immigration services, including express entry, spousal sponsorship, and study permit. Rattandeep, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Mir, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome, perfect. As I say in all my podcasts, right? This is like for someone to consume from this podcast and like take insight in their life as well. Wonderful. So, starting from your background, like your journey to coming to Canada, and I know you started in a telecom company. You started with Rogers, right, as an account manager, and then you became a regulated immigration consultant, right?
Yeah.
So, if you can also tell us how did that happen coming from India to Canada and then kind of moving to all new career like being a regulated immigration consultant. So if you can talk to us about
Yeah, sure. So originally I'm from Chandigarh. It's a city beautiful. It's in northern part of India. It's capital of both Punjab and Haryana. So I did my bachelor's from there, right, from DAV College Chandigarh, and after that I did my master's, my MBA from Pune. And after my MBA, I got placed with Big 92.7 FM radio, the sales account management role. So I worked with Big FM for 2 years. After that, I moved in contact lens industry. I worked with two multinationals for almost 8 years. And in total, I had 10 years of experience after my post graduation in India. And I was into sales role, marketing role, basically. So I was like in my last role there is a company by the name of Cooper Vision. It's a multinational. So I was taking care of entire North India except Delhi. So I was traveling frequently to like UP, to Jammu, to Punjab, to Haryana, to Uttarakhand, etc. So a lot of traveling was there, right? So and like how the thought of Canada came into my mind. Though in my family, like my father was into a government job, my wife was a professor at a university. So I have a at that point of time I had a 4-year-old son. Now he's 11. So we had a very comfortable life. But again, I realized that sales had a very like the ceiling comes very early in the sales professional's life, right? So as I told, like I'm from Chandigarh. Chandigarh is a very, very beautiful city. So I was traveling a lot of cities from Chandigarh, and my management was telling me to either move to Delhi or Mumbai. So as somebody who has lived in Chandigarh, honestly, they would always be hesitant to move to Delhi particularly, right? So and again, the thought of Canada came into my mind. If I have to leave my hometown, then honestly speaking,
Why not Canada?
it's not that I'm degrading or demeaning any city, but yes, Delhi is, we know it's overly populated, it's pollution also. So at
Right.
that point of time, I thought it's, if I have to uproot myself, it's better to move to Canada instead of Delhi, right? So that's how I came to
Right.
Canada. This is my 7th year now. Initially, of course, everybody had to go to a great amount of struggle. I had also gone because I did not have any network over here, because the students who come here generally they build networks, because I came here directly as a PR. And again,
Right.
I did my master's from Pune. I did not have even a single batchmate from Pune who was in Kerala.
Really?
And similarly, as I told, from Chandigarh also, there is not much craze amongst people who are from Chandigarh to come to Canada. Of course, people from Punjab have a lot of craze, but people from Chandigarh do not have any craze, because Chandigarh city is mostly populated by people who work in government jobs, right? So their children have aspirations only to progress themselves in like the government jobs or in corporate whatsoever, right? But they do not have any inclination towards coming to Canada. So my brother-in-law came to Canada 2 years back. So he started like like telling my wife that you should come to Canada. Then my wife started picking that thing on me, and eventually we decided. Then I took my IELTS test, and luckily that point of time the scores were very much manageable. When I had come, the score was just 413 was the cutoff. So my
Okay. Wow.
417 very casually, right? So the day I created the profile, the very next week itself, the cutoff was of 413 and my score was 417, and I came to Canada. It was easier.
Wow.
It was in
Nice.
2018, right? So initially, I worked as an area sales manager in Chandigarh, but of course, when somebody has to come to Canada, it's not easy to find job here. And specifically, I did not have any particular domain skill. I had a skill
Right.
into like sales management, but in sales, everybody would want a person, a sales individual who is from that particular background, because you have to you
Right.
have to connect with people. So somebody who is outside
Right.
from Canada, who did not have that accent, that amount of that knowledge of English, that knowledge of ice hockey, and etc. So I could not get any sales. Though my same company existed in Canada also. My management approached them also, but still I could not get that chance. So I worked in altogether a different industry. Started with Auto Capital Canada, which is into leasing of vehicles. Then I worked with Rogers. Then like somebody had told me to get into immigration profile. So during my thinking, I enrolled myself in an immigration course, and 6 months, the course duration was 6 months. And after that, I took an exam and I got my license. That's how I started my immigration journey.
Wow. Nice. That's beautiful journey. I mean, like uh, navigating entirely from India to Canada, and especially when you have kids,
Yeah.
right? When you have family and when you're like well settled, definitely a challenging decision to come to the new country altogether and build a life here.
Yeah.
For sure. So we'll try to jump into uh, the questions that is troubling a lot of people here in Canada and also in India, right? Especially questions around immigration, migrating to Canada,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, I know the topic is such a huge that you
Yes.
would be like spending a day
Exactly.
in this, but we'll try to keep it
Yeah.
concise. We'll try to touch upon all the common questions that is that can help a lot of people. And yeah, before I throw questions at you, there's something that I wanted to talk, right? So if we go in a history of immigration,
Yeah.
I won't go, let's say, 100 years back.
Yeah.
I'll just talk about last 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So I graduated from engineering in 2015,
Yeah.
and I was working in Hyderabad with my first company. So I was basically helping people to prepare for this test, like GRE,
Yeah.
GMAT, IELTS, right? So there was a lot of, you know, how should I put in? There's a lot of craze for Canada. There's a lot of craze for coming to US because people knew that okay, they will get a better opportunity in Canada when they go,
Mhm.
right? And I've heard from all my past students as well, ex-students, that once they land in Canada, they graduate from a certain program, they have like 2 jobs, 3 jobs. This is a story back in like 2016, 17.
Yeah.
Now, seeing the current scenario in Canada, right? I wanted to understand from you that what has happened in last 10 years,
Mhm.
right? And any key insight that you can tell us like that has led to this change. Now, current scenario isn't like I see that the market here is tight, right? A lot of people are still facing a lot of challenges in breaking into the first role in the company. So tell us what has happened in last 10 years,
Right.
right? And any key insight that you believe has led to this change.
Right. So see, the immigration is becoming strict and tighter in every first world country, right? Every passing year, it is becoming more difficult than the previous year. For example, the score which we are at this year, the scores are higher than 2023. The scores in 2023 were higher than that were in 2022. As I told, I came here in 2018, the score was just 470. And now
470.
at least 200,000 people have their active express entry profile wherein the scores are more than 470 for sure, right? Still it is difficult to get PR. So in last 10 years, of course the exposure was less, social media was less, individuals coming to Canada were less, right? Therefore the competition was also less, right? The Canadian government, there is a report which is called Canada Century 21st report, which states that Canada, uh, in order to have an active working population, they need to add every year 1 to 1.25% of the population, right? So, for example, Canada's population uh, in 2023 was 40 million, sorry, right? And now they have to add 1% or to 1.25%. So that's why we are seeing the number of the quota for this year, 2024, for the permanent residents is 485,000. Next year it is 500,000. 2026 again it is 500,000. It has been increasing at the rate of 1 to 1.25%, right? But the number of temporary residents have increased like almost double. For example, I will give you a small data. The number of international students who came to Canada in, for example, the express entry started in 2015, right? Before that, it was even much easier. Nobody had to, people just had to meet the 67 points. It was taking more time to get their ER applications processed, but eventually it was getting processed. Some individuals are getting PR in 2 years, some in 3 years, and at most some people were getting PR in 5 years. But after the express entry, the competition has become more fierce, right? And of course, with social media, and if we talk particularly about India, which has the highest number of population under the age of 25 years. So of course, the people who are under the students or the youth who is under the age of 25, they're always aspirational. They also always want to experiment, explore different things, right? So in 2018, before 2018, the students who used to come to Canada, they used to come be either with bachelor's or master's, right? So bachelor's was a basic requirement, but after 2018, the Canadian government changed certain rules with the study permit thing. They introduced student direct stream. When they introduced student direct stream, the students who had just completed their high school could also come to Canada on a student basis, right? And when that student direct stream started, or you can say when they introduced that students who had just completed their high school could also come. After that, the number of students started increasing manifold. I'll give you an example. For example, in 2018, only 350,000 students used to come to Canada. Between 2018 to 2022, every year the number of students hovered between 350,000 to 450,000. During COVID, 2020, the number of students were less. It was around 250,000. But in these 5 years, the number of students were between 350,000 to 450,000. Just last year, in 2023, 925,000 students came to Canada, which was more than double.
Right.
So it took 5 years to increase student population just by 100,000. But in just 1 year, last year, 2022 to 2023, like around roughly 500,000 students more than the previous year came to Canada. And as I told, the quota for permanent residencies only increased by 1% or 1.25% overall. But the number of students they invited to Canada increased by 100%. So that's how the problem started surfacing. And what happened after COVID in 2021, in 2022, and in 2023, these 3 years. So there were certain things which were done by IRCC, which has resulted in all the current problems which we are facing. So first off, because of COVID, of course, and no country was prepared at that point of time how to handle this crisis. So every country used their own resources, used their own think tanks, etc., to overcome the situation in hand, right? So they did two things. First off, they conducted what tier to peer draw. Everybody might have heard of it. So what was tier draw? Anybody who was on a work permit status in Canada that point of time, whether they were working on zero job, A job, B job, C jobs, D job, any kind of job, even uh, and they had to be working on that particular day because that program was started on 6th of May and it closed within 24 hours because the quota was reached. So anybody who was working on that particular day, for example, if somebody just started working as a, let's say they started working as a server in a restaurant. 6th May was their first day of work. They were also eligible to apply under TR2PR. And because of the COVID, nobody outside Canada was able to apply. So it wasn't first come, first basis. So during that particular day, around 90,000 applications were accepted, right? And eventually those students became permanent resident, right? And once they became permanent resident, of course, that acted like a wildfire in the city of origin of permanent residents. So for example, as in India, we say, look, Sharmadi's son has become a permanent resident and what you are doing, right? So similarly, students were very easygoing students without much or just by sheer luck, right? They became permanent resident. The individuals who were in their vicinity, in their hometowns, etc., they could see that yes, if they can become PR and why we cannot, right? So that's when the number of students increased manifold. And there was one thing, like for example, once like when anybody completes their 2 years of study, they generally get 3 year of post graduation work permit, right? PGWP. During 2022, 23, what happened? Anybody because of COVID, government was not able to find enough people who could add into their workforce because of the COVID restriction. So what they did, they extended everybody's work permit by 18 months, by 1.5 year, wherein the work permits expiring between 21, 22, 2023. For example, if a student had come to 2018, let's say 2017, they finished their studies in 2018, then they applied for post-graduation work permit. They got their 3 year post-graduation work permit until 2021, right? Even if their work permit expired on 1st January 2021 or 31st of December 2021, they got additional 18 months of work permit. So people were work permit expired in 2021 December, so they got it until 2023 June, right? So people wherein the work permit 3 year work permit expired in 2022, they got 18 months. 2023 they got 18 months. So government just kept on increasing the work permits of individual. And by this point of time, nobody was able to realize that nobody is becoming permanent resident. Though they were able to extend their status and no bad news was going out also. Because people were in Canada for 3, 4 years, no bad news went to India if we talk in this particularly. Nobody got to know that people are actually not becoming PR. But this year onwards, the government strictly said enough is enough. They are not going to extend the work permits. That's how many individuals' work permits are expiring this year. The estimate is more than 150,000 students. Many people wherein they got the 18-month extension also still they could not secure PR. Their work permits are also expiring. So that's why we are seeing so much protest, so much negativity, people talking about reverse migration, things like this and that. Going on.
Why not? I mean, a lot of things are happening here as well. I was reading through the article where I saw that a lot of people are also protesting in the areas such as like outside GTA, Brampton, right? So I mean, yeah, people are protesting to extend the permits and everything. So no, when I was outside Canada, and like a lot of people like me who were outside Canada, there was like in 2021, 2022, there was like a narrative that Canada wants more immigrants, like 400,000 immigrants, 450,000 immigrants. So it kept increasing year after year.
Yes.
Now, I want you to now explain this to us that these numbers are real, right? So, what kind of professional Canada is looking, and who should not get excited after hearing this term or reading these numbers? If you can also tell us
See, there is
that.
also a very big catch around these numbers. Like you told, 400,000
Mm.
immigrants are needed, 500,000. For example, this
Right.
year quota is
Right.
485,000, 500,000. But
Yes. Yes.
the seller, you can say agent, right? Because see, here we are licensed consultants. In outside Canada,
Mm.
nobody needs a license to set up their immigration practice, right? So they do not have any
Right.
obligation,
Right.
they do not have any accountability, what they say and what they not say. If we
Mm.
say something wrong, there is
Right.
accountability also on us, right? Somebody can complain about
Right.
us and we can be our licenses are at stake, and nobody would want to put their license at stake, right? Because once if they have to
Right.
live in Canada. Break these numbers down. This number of
Mm.
485,000 students need to understand, people who are looking to come to Canada, these numbers are not for individual, not all these numbers are for international students, right? These are for total
Right.
number of
Right.
immigrants. For example, we have heard of express entry, right? You won't believe, out of these 485,000, express entry holds
Mm.
only 110,000, which is just
Mm.
one fourth, less than one.
Interesting.
Remaining are
Interesting.
refugees hold roughly 76,000. Then family sponsorship is there, somebody in sponsoring their spouses, parents. Then humanitarian compassionate
Right.
grounds, business immigration. So there are so many things. Provincial nomination also hold 110,000. So all the numbers are not just
Mm.
for students. Students only qualify under either under express entry or under provincial nomination programs, right? And now the government has would be, as like to answer your second question, the government would be focusing, because before this time, so government just decided on the numbers they want, but they did not decide what
Mhm.
kind of individuals do they want. So now with time, they
Mm.
are also evolving, right? Because every system evolves with time, right? So they are also very nascent, they are
Right.
also very new, though they could have done it like few years back, but again now they have figured on what kind of professional do they want. For example, now they have come
Mm.
up with 6 categories, right? First is
Right.
francophone category, second is STEM category. STEM is people who are IT
Mm.
background. So the scores are highest for people who are in STEM category, because STEM category
Right.
has people who are the most educated, where the language levels are also high, and everybody has done at least bachelor's. Then there are other
Right.
categories which are like trade categories. For example, if somebody he is a
Mm.
welder, carpenter, so these professions are also very highly paid in Canada, and
Mm.
also most of sought after in Canada, right? And then there is
Right.
transportation. Transportation comes like there's so many transportation mechanics, truck drivers, etc. Then there is agriculture um, category also. Then there is a trade,
Mm.
healthcare also. Healthcare is in huge demand. I have so many clients who are like currently working as nurses in India, and still they could
Mhm.
secure their permanent residency at very low scores also, right? So
Okay.
now they
Right.
have zeroed down to towards certain category. They will be
Mm.
focusing on those categories. With the recent changes, if you are aware, now they will be giving the post graduation work permit to individuals who have studied only in particular these broader
Mm.
categories.
Right. Right. Wonderful. So this is very interesting insight, right? I mean, now the government has like a certain policies which has not been out yet, and now they are themselves not clear whom they want in the country,
Yeah.
right? So do you believe that the policy they are creating, the policy creator in Canada, and the actual market need, there's a gap between these two
Yeah,
entities?
there is definitely a gap, and the government has, like, I would say, they do not have exactly realized it yet, right? I like
Mm.
when we consultants sit together, we just generally say, because the elections are coming next year, and there is
Right.
immigration is a problem also, is an agenda also.
It's a hot
It's a
topic.
hot topic
Right.
also in the entire Western world, because every
Mm.
country is fighting with immigration. So if we talk about the other countries
Mm.
also, for example, America stopped their immigration pathways, like the easier immigration pathways long back. Now it's not easier to get PR.
Long
People have to wait more than 10 years, right? Australia
10 years. I've heard 20 years
20
as well.
years as well, right? So Australia also has made it very difficult to become PR. UK stopped their PR
Mm.
long back. It's not. easy or achievable to get a UK permanent residency. But Canada is still open. Canada was all open, is still open, but yes, now because the countries, because all the Western countries are seeing other countries what kind of problems they are having with so many immigration issues. Maybe people who come to Canada as a student, or maybe they do not leave. Refugee is a big problem in all the countries, right? So because as the world is going into so many wars, right? So people are leaving their countries and coming to safer countries like Canada, US, etc. So this is also a problem. So that's why the Canadian citizens, the citizens of all these countries are facing that they are not getting enough opportunities. Their quality of life has deteriorated. They are not getting summer jobs, etc. So they have their own issues, right? So the easy scapegoat is international students, unfortunately. It's all because of policies, though they could have restricted on the number of, which I personally feel they could have restricted on the number of refugees also, right? And of course, there is a huge scope of improving the quality of international student, because I personally believe the situation what is there in Canada currently, the students who are coming after their high school, they should be they should be discouraged, or I would say the individuals who are coming to Canada after their bachelor's or master's with certain number of experience, they should be encouraged, because those are the individuals who are able to easily adapt in the country also. They have enough maturity to find their way up in the organizations also, and they can contribute positively in good jobs from the day one. But the students who are after high school, they are not able to cope up with the stress, with pressure. Some very few are committing suicide also. Depression is a very common problem with students in the early age of 20s. So it's very heartbreaking for us also to know that students who are just in their 20s are facing so many problems, whether in their relationships, whether in their mental health, and etc.
Now, we digress from this topic slightly to understand something here. So, I was going through certain numbers in Canada, and I saw this unemployment rate. Right. So, in last one quarter, it has been like unemployment rate has gone up from 6.5% to 6.6%.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of good professionals, either from India or China or from US, they have immigrated in Canada, and they are highly experienced in their individual
Absolutely.
fields. Now, Rob, do you believe that directly, indirectly, Canada do not want such immigrants, or they have not evolved in a certain way where the industry could grow, right, to absorb this many professionals? Because I believe all these professionals are asset to the country,
Absolutely.
right, and they have come to this country after taking so many challenges. They have left their own home
Yes.
and come to this country to basically build a new life, right? And now thing is like there's a lot of challenges here in the industries, right? I would say IT industries, like especially information technology, they have the job, they're able to absorb lot many professionals. But when we see outside IT, there are like still a lot of professionals, like professors, I would say. No I mean, let's name some of these. I mean,
Like
I
pharmacists,
couldn't recall right now, but
medical professionals. There's so many professions which are
medical professionals, yes. So all these people are highly experienced, they have migrated from their country, but they're not able to find jobs here. So what I believe is either the country is some like no, they are not ready for these professionals, or some way the country hasn't grown in a way that they can absorb these many professionals. So what do you have to
Yeah,
say in
see, I totally agree with you, Mihir. Even I feel the same way, right? I would say
right?
the country has created so many entry barriers for individuals to work in their field. For example, my wife was also
Right.
working as a pharmacist. My wife was a professor in India for 10 years. Now she had to
Wow.
take pharmacy license exam, which took her almost 3 years to start to work in pharmacy. And talking about the IT individuals, our neighbor like US is world leader in innovation, right? And all the talent is
Right.
easily accessible to Canada also, right? If they open their door
Exactly.
to those kind of individuals, right? And yes, I could see a frustration in highly skilled individuals also, because they really have good skill.
Right.
They can really contribute in the country in a very positive way. For example, you are also coming up with a
Right.
startup, right? When you would come up with a startup,
Right.
you would increase you would hire people, right? And
The
eventually
job.
it would reduce the
Right.
unemployment rate. It would, when a startup like culture is encouraged in a country, it is anyways beneficial for the entire country, right? But I
Right.
think this
Absolutely.
country is still maybe running on a little socialism mode, right? They are
Right.
not
Right.
exactly to capitalistic mode, which they
Mm.
say to themselves also. This
Right.
country, like, which works more on a socialism, they are more entangled in the bureaucratic things instead of
Mm.
encouraging the meritocracy, right? So I also feel
Right.
personally very sad that, like, I know individuals who are very bright, they could do wonders, they could do really good in this country, but the
Right.
systems are
Right.
such, everything is as, like, for example, if somebody works in a high paying job also, right, the taxes are like
Mm.
40%, so there is no encouragement for
Right.
them to be working with the great companies. They are not eager to get promotions also, so this is a very odd situation.
Mm.
In other countries, people die to
Yes.
people fight for the promotions to grow themselves in the
Mm.
organization, but here
Grow themselves.
satisfied
Right.
because they have
Right.
to pay more taxes, they have to take more responsibility at the same salary. So there is
Right.
a problem, I think, when we are started discussing these things. So no country is perfect. No country is perfect. So this is also going through an
Mm.
evolution. It is
Absolutely.
not a.
Absolutely.
It's neighbor is like US, but still we are 5% of US.
Right, absolutely. I believe in these terms, Canada is still new. I'm sure the country will evolve with time, and I know a lot of these loopholes will be taken care of.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I have like a question. Let's say a lot of my friends, those who are Indian, right? They want to still see the options of getting into. They're still exploring the option of getting into
Great.
Canada, right? And express entry is one of the way,
Yeah.
right? But we know that people, those who are outside Canada right now, getting into with the express entry route is basically very challenging now,
Absolutely. It's yeah.
right? And so, what is the alternative for them?
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions for them who are looking to apply through an express entry or any other
Yes.
route they
Yes.
can come in through? So, if you can
Yeah,
have some
see, I
input
would
for
say
that.
luckily there is a way at the moment, right? For example,
Mhm.
like, uh, but the way is to express entry only, right? But it's not a
Cool.
straightforward way. For example, coming to Canada via express entry is
Cool.
next to impossible for somebody who is outside Canada, because the scores have
Right.
always been more than 500 points, right? So if we take a
Right.
hypothetical example, if somebody has done PhD in India, which is the highest level of education,
Okay.
somebody has got
Cool.
CLB 9 in IELTS, which is again the highest badge in IELTS. Somebody has
Right.
either 3 years of experience or 30 years of experience, which gives the maximum points. Let's assume that as well.
Cool.
And somebody is at the age
Cool.
of 29 also, because that gives the highest point.
Right.
Still,
Right.
that
Cool.
individual will not have a score of more than 484 in express entry. So there is no
That's
question to break that barrier, right? Even somebody has a sibling who is in Canada, they would get 15 points for that.
cool.
Still, they will not be able to touch the 500 mark. Their score would be 499, right? So it's impossible.
Got it.
But
Got it.
luckily, the Canadian government introduced a new category. As I told, there are 6 categories. There
Cool.
is one category, the name
Cool.
is Francophone, right? Wherein,
Okay.
for example, out of those 6 categories, healthcare is one, STEM is one, trade is one, transportation is one, agriculture, then Francophone.
Cool.
The government
Cool.
has already declared for all the upcoming years how many individuals
Okay.
they want in Francophone category. They have not
Okay.
told those number in all the remaining 5 categories. It can be zero also, it can be million
Mm-hmm.
also. God knows. But for
Right.
Francophone, they have already mentioned the number of their website. One can check it while Googling immigration level plans for 2024, wherein they
Yeah.
see the numbers for next 3 years. So the Francophone number for this year is 26,100.
Okay.
Next year, 2025 is 31,500. For 2026 is,
Rattandeep, I'll interrupt you here. If you can also tell our audience what is francophone.
yeah, Francophone is somebody who has done CLB level 7 in French exam. Like some for English, the individuals have to take either IELTS test, CELBIP test, or PT test. For French, they have to take
Mm.
either TEF Canada or TCF Canada, and they have to get CLB level 7.
Right.
CLB 7, you can say it like getting, for example, CLB level 7 in IELTS is 6 bands each in all the 4 modules, right? In IELTS. So one has to kind of take 6 band each in French exam also, but they have their different scoring, but the level of ease or level of difficulty is same as IELTS, 6 bands each, right? So because, like, for example, I would also tell, like, I have myself done like 7 levels in French long back in 2008,
Wow.
2010. So I can tell you out of my experience also, if somebody just studies an hour a day, right, which is 7 hours a week or 365 hours a year, right, they can, if they study for 1.5 year, 1 hour a day and 1.5 year, they can easily achieve a level of CLB 7. If they spend more time, it is directly proportional to the number of amount of hours they spend in learning French. For example, I have a client who did CLB 7 in as low as 4.5 months also, but he studied like 10 hours a day, right? So this is doable. I think this is one category wherein one should focus when somebody is outside Canada, because when we tell this category to individuals who are inside Canada, unfortunately, the lifestyle in Canada is as such, nobody has time to study, right? Because once when somebody's on their work permit, they are so much busy in there because everybody has to do their household chores themselves, clothes, dishes, work. They are so tired that they don't have time to study French. But when somebody is outside Canada, things can be managed. For example, there is a family to take care of the other things. If one just start focusing on learning French, and as I told, French is not just restricted for this year. The quota is open for next year also and next to next year also. For example, if I talk about Francophone category, the score was as low as 336 in 2024 to, to as high as 446. And 446 more came towards the end of the year, just the last draw. And the number of individuals is were very less, just 1,000. So next year again, quota is again gonna be high, right? Because this year their quota is almost achieved, 26,000, right? So next year again it would reopen, the scores would again go low, like 350, 370. It is very much possible. So I would suggest or recommend anybody who is serious about coming to Canada directly as a permanent resident instead of coming to Canada as a student. Anybody who is even studying, who is doing their bachelor's right now, like I'll tell you very cheap and easy way to get PR of Canada who is sitting inside Canada. For example, like anybody who is a student in Canada, right? Any experience which is gained while studies in Canada, it's not considered towards the permanent residency. Only experience is considered once you have applied for your post-graduation work permit. But any experience which somebody gains while they are studying when they're outside Canada, let's say in India, this case, that experience is considered. For example, if a 20-year-old guy, a student, is doing their bachelor, let's say they are taking their easy bachelor's course, let's say they are doing simply Bachelor of Arts, I would suggest them take up a job in the second year of your bachelor's, or maybe in first year also. Complete 3 years of your work experience in any NOC 0 administrative assistant position, supervisor position. Along with that, focus on just two things: improving your English, which is IELTS exam, and start learning French, which is easily doable in 1.5 year to 2 years, definitely, right? By the time they complete their bachelor's, they would have 2 years of work experience, or after bachelor's, if they complete 1 year more, they would get highest point for their experience. Also, they would complete 3 years of bachelor's, 3 years of experience plus bachelor's plus 8, let's assume 8,777 in IELTS and CLB 7 in French. Their score would be good enough to get them a permanent residency while they are in India without studying here at the very early age, like 21, 22. So this is a track I would give to somebody. But yes, it requires a lot of hard work. So person should focus. Even if somebody is in the age of 28, 29, 30, 31, still it is very much doable. But yes, they have to work on their French. So French is the
French, right? So, right. So, just to summarize for all the viewers, like French is something that is the deal breaker here.
Yes.
I mean, if you're outside Canada and if you get, CLB 7 in French,
Yes.
even if you're a student, if you're in professionals,
Yes.
anyone sitting out there, this is the easiest way you can get into Canada right now. Express entry is almost impossible, as what they rightly pointed out. Because I have few friends who reached out to me saying that, oh, how I can do it? Do you have any information? So this is, I think, bang on answer from like the expert himself. Great. So, I mean, you answered my next question as well when I was about to ask you, like, how these people who have just landed in Canada is going to get their PR, when should they apply? Because I am in part of these groups where they keep on discussing, like, when should I apply for Canada, a PR? Is it like, should I complete my study and then I should go for a PR, or I should wait for work permit and then apply? So, I mean, I think that answers, clears it everything. Okay. Now, so you've answered a lot of questions here. Now, I also want you to kind of touch upon the PNP programs here for students, like, how they can take out a lot of, I mean, they can leverage PNP programs, whether they are anywhere in Canada, how they should go about it, and what are the best way to kind of utilize these great the offerings they have
See,
from
yeah,
the country.
PNPs sounds, first off, we have to understand and agree upon, or I would say we have to convince that there is no easy pathway for PR. Because if we believe
Mm,
that there is an easy pathway for PR, then we would stop working hard. Then we would then we
right.
would start believing each and everything, right?
Mm,
Because with PNPs, because every province have their own provincial PNP programs. For example, we are in Ontario. Ontario has their
right.
own roughly 8 to 9 PNP programs, right?
Mm,
And all PNP programs are based on job offers, right? So
mm,
practically speaking, for example, if somebody is outside Canada, the chances of getting PNP nominated, according to me, is less than 1%, right?
got it.
So it's very, very less. So most of the PNPs are job offer based, for example, or some are occupation based. For example, in Ontario, there is one human capital priority stream. So they,
Mm-hmm.
for that, that one does not need to have a job offer in Ontario, even if somebody is working
Mm-hmm.
in the uh, in demand occupation in India. Also, they can also get an invite. For example, as I told, few of my clients were working in the medical healthcare in India. Some were working as dentists, some were working as nurses also. So, of course, the scores were lower than the regular express entry score. For example, a few of my clients got an invitation at, I remember, 379 points also while they were in India, right? And through PNP program. So express entry, the file has to be created. But again, they were working in healthcare. So
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, you still can
Okay.
expect the scores may go down. But again, after 317, one mine was a lowest score. Now the current score is 425. Still, it is not very high. Still, it
Mm,
is achievable for individuals
achievable,
who
right?
are who are outside Canada. For example, the last draw, I had few clients who were working as an assistant physiotherapist or a physiotherapist in India. Their scores
Okay.
were around 420 or 425. So those individuals
Mm,
also got invited under Ontario Human Capital Priority Stream, right? So there are two kinds of pathways in PNP also. One is linked to express entry, and one is
mm-hmm.
on the basis of job offer. So one which is linked to express entry, it is based on luck also, and it is easier also if they are working in that occupation which is in demand, or if they extend the invitations to those category. And the second is job offer, for
Right.
example, international student stream, foreign offer, foreign worker
Mm,
stream. So for those streams, an individual need to have a job offer from an employer in Ontario. Without a job offer, individuals cannot apply. So entry is
mm,
accessible to, you can say, 97, almost 100% of the population, but PPs
mm.
are accessible only to single digit percentage of population, I would say, even less than 5%, I would say. So it's not what can rely a lot on, right? Yeah, so French still I would give,
Interesting.
yeah. So somebody, just to, you will be surprised that Ontario also conducts its francophone draws. So the criteria is very simple.
Okay.
Anybody who has done, who
Mm-hmm.
has a bachelor's, whether in Canada, whether outside Canada, and who
Mm-hmm.
has 1 year of experience in Ontario in either non-executive
Mm-hmm.
job, and they know they should have got CLB level 7 in French, right? So they have
Mm-hmm.
conducted 4 draws this year so far. The highest score was 310, and the lowest score was 290. Right?
Wow.
So I mean,
That's quite low for everyone who don't know the.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt. Just to tell our viewers, if you don't know like the scores, right? I would highly suggest you to go on the internet and
yes,
search for what's the standard scores, what's the cutoff for.
yeah.
But
It's for
when it comes to 290, 300, it's really really
it's
low.
Ontario French
I
skilled worker
advise you.
stream category, right? So, as I told,
Well,
there is no easy pathway. So, one has to study French. And I would say people should take it as a long term thing. Don't think that they have to learn French in 3 months, 6 months, 7 months. Then the people would find it difficult to complete it in this short duration and they would eventually give up. So, I would say that
give you.
do not be very, don't think that PR is gonna, you will achieve your PR in just 1 year. It is gonna take time now, right? So when somebody has
Right.
got a 3 year
Right.
post-graduation work permit, give yourself 3 years now, not just 1 year. But
Mm.
work towards
Got it.
getting your those points.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Amazing. Okay. Now we have a couple of questions before we like
Yeah.
wind up this discussion. So recently we got a news that there's a language test that has been tied up to the
Yes.
postgraduate work permit,
Yes.
right? So why did this happen? Because I believe that this has unsettled a lot of people.
Yes.
Right? When I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, now I have to give a language test." Now, I mean, while I was in India, I applied for these university. I gave a language
Absolutely.
test. Now I have to again give a language test,
Yes.
right? And then I'm to give possibly show the PR and all about that. But again, this has unsettled a lot of people. So, do you believe that there was a need for it?
See, honestly, I like because it like it our common sense say it actually does not have any need, right? When somebody has come to Canada
Right.
after taking their IELTS test or any language test, and when somebody has studied in Canada for
Right.
2 years, when somebody has already
Absolutely.
spent so much time. And again, the language requirement is CLB 5 only for most of the programs, 90% of
Mm,
the program. For bachelor's
mm,
or a
mm,
master, then the CLB 7 is a requirement. So anybody who can
mm,
order a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons, they can get CLB 5, right? So if they had kept the
mm,
language requirement as CLB 7, CLB 8, CLB 9, then still I would say it could have made some sense. At least people could have started
mm,
working more towards their language proficiency in order to get their post-graduate work permit. But this is just what I think is a money-making machine, right? Because there
mm.
are around 300,000 individuals, maybe more, definitely more, who would be uh, like every quarter or every whenever any semester or any program ends, they would be applying for their PGWP and the government would be getting extra income. But again,
Go first.
there is one more thing which they say that some people might have come to Canada on the basis of their fake IELTS score letters. That is also practice which is done in many parts of the world, wherein with money you can buy scores. So government wants to
Mm,
capture those guys also. Maybe they have some data, but again, the data, according to me, must be 0.001% individuals, those who have taken those
right.
fake.
Right.
And because of that 0.1 or 0.01, you are asking everyone to take IS. I think this step is
Take
out of
that test.
confusion. It's very vague. They just want to create a sense of fear amongst everyone. They are just trying to control everyone.
Mm,
They are now saying that yes, no, we
right.
will take care of. We will take home. You will do as we says. I don't know what is the mentality going beyond this, but it does not
Right.
have any logic
Right.
according to me.
I mean, why did this didn't make a lot of sense to me? Because now I have taken the test to come to Canada.
Yes.
I've studied in your
Yes.
university for let's say 3 years, for 4 years,
Absolutely.
right? And I have studied in an English medium, where the
Yes.
conversation is primarily
Yes.
English. You have, I mean, communicated in English throughout the program. You've understood it,
Yeah.
you have consumed it, and now you have to take a test
Yeah.
in order to work.
Yeah.
So this is definitely money making,
Yes.
a strategy for the government, and I
And
believe
also
that
when
is hurting a lot of people
there is
actually.
stupidity because the IELTS test is also not cheap, right? People are not getting jobs these days and
Mm.
they have to spend
It is not
four
cheap.
hundred
Yeah.
dollars to just write that exam.
Right, right. And people are taking multiple times because they didn't qualify it. Now they have a cap of 7,
Yes.
CMB 7, and now there are a lot of people who are stuck to like 6.5.
Yes.
Now they have to do it again. There's a 300,
Exactly.
$350
Exactly. Yeah.
test. Now you're spending, let's say, around $1,000 just to pass that
Just to
test.
pass.
And someone might have to take the test.
No.
I mean, prepare for the test. And like, it's completely, I wouldn't say very,
This
it's more
is
very strategic
this is
from the
this
government
is
side.
beyond comprehension. Why they're doing taking this step.
Right.
but here nobody can question them.
So no, this is one last question I asked to all my guests, right? And we're going to ask you as well if you have any unfiltered advice for all our viewers
Yeah.
who are in Canada or looking to come to Canada.
See, I always says to my client, first off, forget that there is an easy pathway to get a PR in Canada, right? And
Right.
secondly, I also want to tell them uh, they would be surprised or shocked. I'm pretty much sure because whenever I ask any of my client, what do you think is the number of international students who have become permanent residents in last 5 years? When I ask them, everybody
Mm.
say 80%, 90%, 60%, 50%, 40%, 30%. But the actual figure is just
Yeah.
8%. So only 8% international students have become permanent residents in last 5 to 6 years. And that percentage will
Mm.
be lower this year because the number of students and the number of work permit holders have increased manifold. For example, the number of
Increased.
work permit
Right.
holders in Canada at the moment right now are around 16 lakh, but the express entry is 1 lakh. So the percentage, the probability of becoming PR for everybody is just 6.25%. So there is no
6.25.
easy pathway to PR. But yes, with a strategy, with hard work, everybody can get a PR. Everybody means everybody who would work hard. And we tell my client, even if somebody who has come to Canada after their high school also, they can also achieve a score of 562. I tell you,
Mm.
again, hard work is definitely involved, and I'm assuming so many things. For example, a student who is coming to Canada after their high school, which is 10 plus 2, they do a 2 year course over here. They complete
Mhm.
2 years of work permit out of their 3 years, and
Mhm.
they get 8,777 in IELTS. We have to assume certain things, and their work permit ends, but still they have not got the PR. I would request them, I would suggest
Mhm.
them to go back to India and complete 1 year of work experience there also.
Right.
Simultaneously learn French also. When all the factors are
Mm.
combined, plus 2 2 year diploma over here, 8,777 in IELTS, CLB 7 in French, 1 year of work
Mm.
experience in India, all these amount
Mm.
to a score of 562. If
Got it.
somebody has a score of 562, definitely they would get a PR. So instead of paying somebody money to buy
For
an
sure.
LMIA, they can better
Mm.
India and gain 1 year of work experience. That would also give them 50 points. LMI also give them 50 points.
Yeah.
So sometimes going back makes more sense to take a bigger jump, right? One step
Right.
backwards helps.
Helps.
Yeah, yeah. So PR is achievable.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
For sure, for sure. We can go on with this discussion for sure. And you have you have wealth of knowledge on this. So I do one thing, no, I mean, uh, I'm going to leave your number. I'm going to leave your website, right in the description, so that everyone, if you have further questions with Rattandeep, please feel free to reach out. He's very accessible on LinkedIn as well. Make sure that you reach out and seek out all the information and any particular questions you have. But again, thank you so much, Rattandeep. It was a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure it is going to help immensely to a lot of people, right? Especially in India and all the people, those who are confused inside Canada as well. So thank you
Thank you
so
so much,
much.
Peter. Thank you so much.